and I'm there with a bunch of women who were supposed to like plug and play and kind of see who's the best for this sex scene and the best, like a chemistry read, but a bit weirder. And we get upstairs.
A P&V chemistry read.
I'm telling you, it was weird. And we get upstairs, and there's a blow-up mattress in the corner that we're supposed to... It wasn't great.
Welcome to My Worst Audition.
Welcome back to My Worst Audition. With me is the incredibly talented Jeff Ayars. He's a filmmaker, actor, and co-founder of the comedy duo Cannibal Milkshake with Dan Mahboubian Rosen. No, I'm sure I butchered that middle name. Known for their sketches and parodies with over 100 million views. You might have seen him as Bradley Cooper on Comedy Central, Captain America on Funny or Die, or snorting fake Coke as Finance-Bro Ryan Gosling in New York, New York land. He's also been on Real TV, starring as Thomas Jefferson in his Super Bowl ad, and brought his punchable face to FBI International as an Ivy League villain of the week. Jeff has
I did get punched on that too.
Oh, there we go. It's working for you. Jeff has directed a handful of web series, short films, and in 2019 produced and starred in his first feature, a horror called This Is Our Home on Amazon Prime. He's currently in production on his second feature, Lady of the Lake, forgive me. In his corporate work for NBCUniversal, Jeff has directed spots for Bravo, produced promos for Blumhouse Universal Pictures, and field-produced MSNBC stories from IMAX headquarters, Area 51, and the Pentagon. Jeff Ayars, multi-talented, thank you so much for joining me on My Worst Audition.
Thank you for deeming me worthy. I'm a huge fan of this.
Well, we have a grand total of 18 listeners, so everybody's worthy. So, but I do appreciate and love your work.
At least 19 fans. They're just not all plugged in.
Yeah. I first met Jeff for anybody who's interested on a shoot that Jeff was producing where our mutual friend Rob recommended me. And I went in and just played this corporate sycophant, which I was just saying, yes, sir, like to everything the other guy was doing. And I like Jeff. We hit it off, and I've loved a lot of his work. And he didn't mention it in his bio, but I loved Canadian Sniper. If you ever get a chance, look it up on YouTube. Canadian Sniper, the American Sniper parody, stars one of our mutual friends, Elise Brandau, as his wife. And it is right. The ending. I love the ending. I laugh every time I see the ending.
That was one of the first. That was like the first thing that clicked. Dan, my comedy partner, I think reluctantly was like, look, I know you like Bradley Cooper, and with that beard, you look like Bradley Cooper, and let's do an American Sniper parody, Canadian Sniper. So I was just really polite, chasing a moose the whole time. And yeah, Elise played my patient wife who would feed our baby maple syrup.
I loved it. All the little things that for just like half a second, if you look close, you see all the little jokes. It was wonderful.
That movie, they had the fakest baby of all time. We had to get a Cabbage Patch doll to actually beat that movie. So that was, but yeah, we got like 1 million views, and we're like, okay, we're famous now. Not so much, but
yeah,
glad that you remember that.
I do. I mean, again, I had a similar experience. The very first YouTube video I made was that Subway video, and it had, a couple million views, Panhandler Party. And I talked to, my co-producer. I'm like, oh, this is easy. We'll just do this all the time. Wrong. Doesn't work like that.
Replicable every time.
Sure, exactly. Well, yeah, all your work is great. Now, I've watched you on FBI International. It's fantastic. And you don't often get a lot of crossover with people that are equally adept at performing and producing, and you're doing both. So I don't know how you haven't made it yet, but you should be.
Help. Is this how I make it? Please, Gary. Please.
Yeah, we just have to sit here on the show and just proverbially suck each other's metaphorical dicks this whole time. It's like, oh, you're great. No, you're great.
I'm down. Whatever. We should have done it in person.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you know what? I'll take it where I can get it. So, not exactly my style, but hey, whatever. I'm an animal.
We'll be snipping this out.
You're a very handsome man. But this is my worst audition. This is my worst audition, and I know what you had me perform in. The short, which was, and forgive me, I'm blanking on the title now.
Final Callback.
Final Callback was a story where you wanted to take one of your audition experiences and kind of turn it into your own production, and you were gracious enough to let me perform in that as well. So I know you have some stories for me.
You were fantastic. You brought the whole thing together. You were playing, let's see, I guess I swapped the genders and wrote the short for this amazing actress Mirror Eye. And the real story is that I went into audition for the lead in a kind of like schlocky B horror subversive feature film production company that's kind of well known in that circle. Don't want to call them out explicitly, but it was weird. First of all, just going into that world, it was cool. They had all those props and weird posters, and it was kind of a dingy area in a certain borough of New York that might also be known for that company. But I go in and I do actually a monologue from Blue Valentine, maybe. I was really forcing the Ryan Gosling thing. I don't really have a lot of monologues prepped. I don't have a lot of formal training, so I just went to a movie that I liked. And Blue Valentine, definitely not the tone of that feature, but they liked me. And I think I did it again. I can't remember if there was 2 or 3 callbacks. Fast forwarding. Anyway, I'm in a final callback for this, kind of what do you call it? Like an exploitation feature? Man, I don't know how to, I'm not sure.
I know blaxploitation. I don't know if there is any type of other exploitation.
It wasn't that. All right, I'm giving you some editing work here.
It's all good.
Just to kind of sum it up, I don't remember if it was like 2 or 3 callbacks, but I'm in a final callback for this subversive indie feature, and I'm to play the lead. And there is, this director and production company. They're known for some nudity, some weird violence, and the callback was kind of specifically centered around the sex scenes, and what threw me off initially was that we had to change locations for the callback. It wasn't at the production company office, which already I wouldn't necessarily have wanted to do a simulated sex scene at. But it was like a weird temporary spot, like an Airbnb or something like that. And so we're holding in this kitchen, and everybody's a little confused. And I'm there with a bunch of women who were supposed to like plug and play and kind of see who's the best for this sex scene, and the best, like a chemistry read, but a bit weirder. And we get upstairs.
A P and V chemistry read.
I'm telling you, it was weird. And we get upstairs, and there's a blow-up mattress in the corner that we're supposed to. It wasn't great. I hate taking my shirt off, but I mean, at this point, it's like I'm in the best position, right? That I got to take my shirt off. I think maybe my boxers, but they start insisting that the women not only take off their shirts, and I think some kind of like bra if you're comfortable, and pants. But it was just one of those things where it was like, we really would kind of love to see as much as you're willing to put on camera. Like, the director's not here. He's really got to see it. This is how his movies are made. So it really just felt like this weird test with some unspoken pressure. Okay. And it just escalated to a point where I was kind of like, what the fuck is going on here? Right? We can cut this out, but one of the actresses is like, I can't take off my pants. Like, I'm on my period, and I'm not comfortable. Anyway, I pulled out.
I'm not going to say it. I'm just listening.
I withdrew from the feature and wrote like a huge email saying this is f***ed up, and I don't know why this is how it had to be done. No one gave a fuck. They found another guy to do it, but I kind of channeled the frustration into writing a short where, instead of a final callback for a sex scene, it was actually for this very violent scene that you participated in. And I still played with the innuendo a little bit. So, I mean, the idea was, it's a violent film for a similar production company. And there's a scene where at the end, the guy has to get penetrated by a knife. And so the casting directors are like, we got to do the penetration scene. And the girl starts taking her clothes off, and they're like, what the f*** are you doing? And the other penetration scene, which is when you come in like the sacrificial lamb and they hand her a knife, and to prove her commitment, she's got to penetrate you on camera to make sure that this film will really live up to the director's expectations. So anyway, that was like, that was probably my worst audition, I think. Showing up, not knowing that we'd all have to take our clothes off and pretend to have sex on an air mattress at an Airbnb in Queens. I don't have a lot of others like that.
It seems pretty sketchy.
But, in the end, I found a location that was equally sketchy.
You did.
And I found some ways to work with it. So, yeah, that was a fun one that I wrote and directed. I think we had like a day. I appreciate you. It was very stressful. Your part had all the blood and guts and gags and gore. So you were a good sport. You're a really good sport.
Not stressful at all. Really not. I mean, I'm getting paid to show up and play pretend. It's such an easy job.
Isn't that what we want?
It is. I've an acting teacher, and she's wonderful. I don't mean to call her out because I love her to death, and she's so kind to me, and she's always so there for me. But I remember she said one time in acting class, and I guess it's a matter of perspective, she said, being an actor is the bravest thing you can do. And I'm like, I can think of like 373 other jobs that are far braver than being an actor. Like, I
wouldn't go on record saying that one, but it's a nice compliment.
Yeah. I mean, you're wonderful. She's such a sweetheart, and I'm so grateful to her, but that one seemed like, all right. I'm getting paid to play pretend. My life is never in danger. I think we're doing okay.
There's a lot of firefighters out there,
Exactly. Yeah, man. But, to what you said, we all have our lines about things that we will or won't do. For me, for instance, nudity is not a problem for me. I'll drop trout. It doesn't bother me. But, if
I didn't know that, it would have changed the course of my short, I think.
I've done it. I've done it in actual live performances. I did this thing, Blackout Haunted House, with that was part of it. And it felt like a little weird for the first minute or so. And after that, it was like, I'm just at home walking around butt naked.
We're talking full frontal?
Everything completely off. And it's
prosthetics.
Nothing. It's this interactive haunted house, and I'm completely buck naked.
How interactive with
to the point where I'd be hiding in a room, and you watch that people can only go in one at a time, but just sign a waiver and you can only go one at a time. It's a whole big psychological thing. And I'm waiting in this small room, and I see somebody walking down the hall, and I jump out, grab them, and yank them back into the room with me, and I just start going nuts on them, saying these crazy things, the whole thing after that. But I'm fully naked. And there's
what year is this?
I did this back in, I want to say 2015, somewhere around there.
Okay,
but
this should have been on the front page of the Times or something, and we should be zooming from a prison cell probably.
It's a known thing though. They do this once a year near Halloween for a month, called Blackout Haunted House. So they're pretty creative with it, and certain people really dig this kind of psychological and mess with you type of thing.
If everybody's down and signs a waiver, then,
everybody's down, and it's not a big deal for me. But to your concern, I wouldn't want to be in a situation where my scene partner, especially if it's a woman, is kind of under pressure to do that too. I know it's kind of a different thing when you're in that position, and there are certain things
lack of prep or context, prep, right? Just showing up cold to that.
Sure, yeah. And there are certain things that I won't do. I have my lines in other respects. I won't do political ads. I won't do parts where I play a terrorist, because my father would just have a heart attack and die if that happened. But if I'm making something and I'm writing it and producing it, and my hand is on it, then sure, I'll do that. But we all have our lines that we just won't cross.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah. In retrospect, I'm probably glad I'm not naked in that movie. I don't think it would have made my career.
No, you never know.
But we all say if HBO calls, or whatever the equivalent is now.
Yeah, there was that sketch. I forget who did it. It's not nudity, it's HBO. It's not porn. It's HBO.
Not nudity. It's right.
Yeah,
even Max, not just HBO. If Max streaming only, you have my number.
I mean, dude, if you give me $100, I'll probably do it. I'm so cheap.
Let me see what I
got. But you've never done that on camera either, the nudity or anything?
Actually the new feature I'm doing, horror, I'm getting very good at. I don't know if you've seen Midsummer or any of those things. I'm kind of finding my niche, not just as the producer for these kind of indie horror films, micro budget, but as the boyfriend, the co-star, who's just kind of a dick. He's nice, but is he not nice? And by the end, he kind of gets what's coming to him. All this is to say, the new one, this guy takes his shirt off a lot more, a little more boxer action, boxer briefs. I might have made a mistake. Gets a little hugs a lot. But I actually, when I read the script again, when we got the financing and came closer to shooting, I was like, man, there's like a lot of, it takes place over the course of a year, but we start summer and spring and, whatever early autumn, we're swimming in this lake. There's, scenes where I'm just shirtless. I'm like going around the yard. I'm jogging and stuff. And I was like, I got to join the gym. It's finally time to join the gym. Even that, like, I don't know how I'd be in a full frontal haunted house situation.
Well, dude,
yeah,
I mean,
that's
I was far less Bradley Cooper and far more Will Ferrell, but it's, who cares?
Jason Segel, forgetting Sarah Marshall kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, for the right, I think if it made sense, the simulated thing is fine. I don't know what would call me for the full situation.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Might negotiate for that prosthetic if it were another winter scene.
Oh yeah. And that's certainly an issue. In fact, they told me before I did the haunted house thing, they're like, you can't be erect, you because that's against the law, and if in New York you do that, then it becomes pornography. So of course, but I'm like a grower, not a shower. So, and I have my own.
But if you grow, you got to go.
Exactly, basically
in handcuffs.
So like in between, I'm like, well, can I fluff up a little bit, just for my own vanity? Because I'm a dude at the end of the day. Yeah, like how much is too much? I don't know.
I actually have like a BFA degree. I was like drawing and painting and stuff ever since I was a kid. And I remember, I think it was a high school or pre-college or college summer, whatever, acting and me. Let's wind it back. I was painting and drawing since I was like 8, maybe younger. And I remember there was a portrait still life course that I did, and we had a male model, and I think we were all, might have been pre-college, and older gentleman, majority female class. And we did have to take a break during that class because he got a little excited from all the attention. And it was pretty weird. I don't know how you can contractually say that can't happen, but obviously you don't want that to happen. So maybe he got off on the attention, but that was pretty bad. We didn't sketch that part. We didn't incorporate it. We kept it soft.
I was going to ask you, because you mentioned it, that you didn't necessarily go to school to be an actor, right?
No. So I went to the Cornell Fine Art program. I had mostly done art and some like random short film stuff. Learned to shoot and edit and all that from my dad from an early age, but no real acting experience except for like methodly refusing to come out of like Disney characters when I was 5. I did a lot of voices. I grew up loving to learn accents and impressions of just things that I was watching. But yeah, no real formal training. I did one like acting 101 credit as an elective at school, but my approach was more to learn things that would help me as a director. But during college, I was producing a lot of my own stuff that I would be acting in, just as the nature of doing like video art in this art department. I was kind of pushing it. I wasn't in the film program, and I was making video art, which quickly kind of became narrative and probably was annoying to the rest of the program. But yeah, most of my training has just been experience producing my own stuff, doing dozens and dozens and dozens of sketches with Dan, and kind of learning from those, and watching watching the progression since 2013, I think my acting came a long way, and then deciding that I was going to do this horror feature and really having to like nut up and be like, oh, I got to be, I was producing it. So like raising the money and planning and all that pre-pro. But then I was like, shit, I have to be in this now. And I actually should probably be pretty good. But yeah, the more that I did my own projects and, short films would start to cast me, and I just kind of picked up the experience wherever I could. Yeah.
If you were to make it professionally, and I don't know whatever making it means to you,
Sure.
would you prefer that it be done in front of the camera, behind the camera, something else completely different?
It's to the side of the camera. It's really tough for me to choose. I think I've realized that I don't care so much about writing the stuff anymore. I mean, I have a script that's really near and dear to me that I am working on and will keep finishing. I have some pilots and TV pitches and stuff like that. But what I really love doing is directing and producing with a cameo or something like that. With these two features, what I really enjoyed is working with the writer and the directors and kind of bringing what I have to the table as someone who has written and directed. And I feel like I've learned to kind of put my stamp as a producer on things in certain ways. And then, being a vehicle for their material. But I do really love the creative process, down to like mocking up posters for movies and cutting trailers. And I mean, a lot of our comedy sketches were parody trailers.
Mm-hmm.
So I just really love being part of the whole process. That being said, if somebody, when I got cast in the FBI show or the Super Bowl ad, I mean, those were both a blast. Like I got to play a character and I really enjoyed it. But in between takes, I was on set editing my own stuff or like punching up a script or something like that. So
that's great.
I think I have a hard time sitting still and not using that creator part of my brain. Something like Ozark, I think would be really cool, where, my ambitions have gone from like James Bond to like the Jason Bateman in a drama who can be kind of funny, or full on, you know what I mean? Like Game Night, being the straight guy, dry guy. But yeah, something like that, where you either direct the pilot or at least are a showrunner, and then you get to help bring the vision to life on camera.
That's great. You said that your ideal would be sort of being able to produce, write, create your own work is more than just the work itself, but the production, the advertising, the posters, everything that goes into it, and have yourself kind of be.
I don't have to do the posters every time, but
you'd like to do it. You want to be, part of the whole thing, and ideally sort of like have a cameo in it. And what I'm thinking from that is somebody like, say, Taika Waititi, who,
Sure.
Is a creator, and he'll put himself in there, and he does well when he puts himself in his own work. Is there anybody in particular that you've ever kind of looked up to or modeled yourself after in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, the one I'll get the most, flack for is the decade-long obsession with Bradley Cooper. But I think that it panned out. I thought that he was incredible in Wedding Crashers. I would have killed to play that part. I also used to be like heavier and stockier and looked more like that when I was wearing like pink polo shirts. And then I thought The Hangover, he like really hit that. And then he did Limitless. And I was like, I would love to do something like that. And then the fact that he started, with Todd Phillips making the production company and even just being a producer on something like The Joker. But then the fact that he was able to do A Star Is Born and write and direct and act in it. I mean, my favorite sketch, I think, that Dan and I did, we sold a parody of A Star Is Born to Comedy Central, where I played Bradley Cooper writing and directing himself. And it was sort of this meta thing, because we're saying like, who the hell would, we're saying who the hell would be this narcissistic, right? But it's literally what I was doing to comment on him. Like, that's actually the dream in some ways. I think to at least produce or have a production company, and then when it makes sense for me to act, I would do that.
That's great, man. And for those that haven't seen it, it's a Star is Born Comedy Central sketch, and you can find it, I think, online on YouTube. And I think
An Auteur is Born.
An Auteur is Born. That's what it was called. Yeah, and it has at least over 1 million views, probably more. I don't remember
that. Canadian Sniper really really crushed that one, actually. Like, I don't know the total aggregate of where Comedy Central had it around, but like on YouTube, I was like, this really didn't pull in the numbers we thought it would. But it was really cool because we had done, I think, all of our sketches ourselves, our own gear, friends helping us as crew. And this was the first time we said, hey, we got Canadian Sniper, we got this La La Land parody, the Revenant parody. We had all this stuff that fit into the pitch. And I had played Bradley Cooper, and we pitched it to Comedy Central. And in that case, we then had this first opportunity to do multiple revisions and developments on the script. And then they gave us producers, and they let us hire the DP we wanted, but they provided, they location scouted, and they got us like wardrobe. And we were like, what is this? This is awesome. We're going into their color suite. It's not just us on my MacBook Pro, like spinning the wheels. Again, we didn't make it in the end, but, that's something I'm really proud of. And for all we're poking fun, I think that kind of is the core of the kind of thing I want to do. Doesn't have to be Bradley Cooper. Like I said, could be Jason Bateman, the Duplass brothers, stuff like that. The micro budget, pop in and out if you're appropriate, or produce for a younger director and do a cameo. But I just like making stuff.
That's very cool, man. I guess I have one more question, then I'm going to leave you with, I want to see where people can find your work. Back to the audition thing. You don't mean to bring us all the way back to it. Have you ever had an audition? I know, but it's so cool hearing about everything you've done. Have you ever gotten an audition where you just thought to yourself, either this is not good or I don't fit this, but you know what, I'm just going to go in and just basically blow it up and just kind of almost shoot myself in the foot and just see what happens?
That is a great question. Sorry, I'm like pounding immunity shots. Here we go. One where I just wanted to blow it up. There's certainly ones where I really turned it up to 11. I mean, in some cases they panned out to at least a callback, but then when you keep doing that, you're like, okay, maybe I doubled down on the wrong thing. Lately, some of the stuff that has actually worked out has been some commercial callbacks where I've been on the road doing something else, and all I have is a dark hotel room. I don't have my real slate. I don't have my ring light. I have like some Hilton curtains and like a broken desk lamp and just my laptop camera. And it'll be for like a food product or like a shaving product or something like that. And I will just do one take straight to the webcam, and just kind of wing it. Just like, actually, I could plug a certain thing. I just did this ad for Harry's Shave Club.
Yep.
Right. And as you know, if you're a well-shaven man, they always ask you in your slate if you're willing to shave. Right. And so this was for beard products. I'm now like one of their beard guys. Spoiler alert, I got it, but I had no time to do this. I was kind of stressed. I was kind of sick. I'm juggling, day job with producing the next block of this feature. And I just put up the webcam or whatever. I'm like, hey, this is Jeff. I'm 5'10". I live in New York City, and I'm not willing to shave. I will not shave. If you want me to shave, it doesn't make any sense. This is a commercial for beards. Story about my beard. I don't really have a great one. I use it when I act. It gets shorter. It gets longer. You want me to look old? Anyway, if you need a human being that looks like he has a beard, I'm your guy. Thanks. Whatever.
Boom.
Just that kind of stuff. I did that for like an egg commercial that I just landed to. That was the one where I was in the dark. And I'm just like, I cook eggs. What else do you want from me? Yeah, look, this
Perfect.
is I can chew. It looks like there's no lines. So if you want me to hold a fork, I can do that too.
I love it.
That's the kind of stuff where I just lean into I don't know what they're looking for. It comes down purely to the look.
Yep.
Let's just be somebody who's fun to have on set.
Yep.
sometimes I think I'm going to crush it. Like I literally got to go into a room where they wanted a Bradley Cooper or a Bradley Cooper type. And I think they even had me sing a Stars Born type song. And I had a panic attack. My like knee was shaking. I'm like trembling when I'm trying to sing, and I blew it. So
Wow.
that's one. Yeah. So who knows why? So not totally the answer to your question, but that's
No, it did answer my question.
For what it's
yeah.
worth.
Yeah, because sometimes the ones where you're like, fuck it, I'm just going to go have fun and whatever happens, happens. If I'm casting something, a lot of times that's the type of energy I want to cast. I don't want to bring in somebody who's going to take themselves way too seriously and make this not a fun process. I want somebody that can see a sense of humor and can roll with things. That's what I want.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, that was when we had worked together before, and I ended up writing that part for you in the short because I was like, I know I like Gary, and why don't we just figure out how that should look? You know what I mean? Rather than like I wrote the specific thing and it has to be that. Let's just like find the person and figure it out. You bring something to the table.
I appreciate it, man. Well, I don't want to keep you too long. You have a real job. Where can people find your work or social media or whatever you want to share? Yeah,
so I am at Jeff Ayars on Instagram, JeffAyars, or jeffayars.com. On TikTok, Dan and I, sorry, the 6 beverages that I had getting to me. On TikTok, Dan and I do have Cannibal Milkshake. CannibalMilkshake.com is still our, site with our comedy parodies and all that. That's the word cannibal plus milkshake. We did it because it's easy to find. I will say Cannibal Milkshake on TikTok is now mostly Dan. He's crushing it, reviewing and roasting celebrity homes. He actually got into a DM fight with Chris Brown because Chris Brown was free that day. But that's us on Instagram. And yeah, Jeff Ayars, JeffAyars. My fiance makes fun of me because she woke up in the middle of the night and I was saying literally JeffAyars@gmail.com. That's JeffAyars@gmail.com. I mean, this is work never stops, Gary. The grind is real.
She knew what she was getting into.
It's very embarrassing.
It's all good, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Not at all.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure to have you on. Your work is it's all over the place. It's so great, and I expect big things, man.
Let's do this again sometime. Let's make something. Let's do it.
Sounds great,
all
man.
Right. Thanks,
Good talking
Gary.
to you. Later.
You too. Bye.